Hello everyone, I'm going to do a fun little video about why we need to soak our nuts and our apricots or dried fruits. So we're going to start here with Dawn, and I'm going to do a little demo, and you'll see that I'm connecting to Dawn and my fingers are holding very nicely, tightly. So now if I ask Dawn to pick up 2 apricots that have not been soaked, and then she's going to put those 2 apricots against her thyroid point. And if you observe, you can see that my fingers break, which means that the nutrients in the apricots are not getting to her thyroid. It stresses her thyroid out. And then I'm going to ask Dawn to put her 2 fingers on her stomach point, and the same thing happens too. So now we're going to show you what happens when you soak your apricots for a minimum of 10 minutes or longer. And now Dawn's going to go up to her thyroid, and you'll see how strong my grip is. So the nutrients in the apricots are able to get absorbed very nicely, and then down to her gut, and you'll see that she's also holding there very nicely too. And we're going to show you with 2 other people, so you can see that consistently when we soak, we can absorb the nutrients better. But when we don't soak, we actually stress out the organs, and then we're not getting the nutrients and the vitamins that we're eating. So now we're going to do a demo with Brazil nuts that have not been soaked, that have their skins on. So these are raw organic Brazil nuts, and against the thyroid, the reason why we recommend Brazil nuts is because of the selenium, the mineral in the Brazil nuts, which helps to support thyroid and autoimmune diseases. So as you can see, my grip will break because they have not been soaked. And the same thing holds true if Dawn puts her 2 fingers on her stomach point. Again, her body cannot absorb the nutrients from the nuts. It throws off and it stresses the organ. Okay, that's really cool. The demo with the Brazil nuts that have been soaking for a minimum of 10 minutes. And look how strong Dawn's thyroid is, and look how strong her gut is, her stomach point. So she would absorb the selenium from the Brazil nuts if she soaks them. So now we're showing a demo with the Brazil nuts having soaked for at least a minimum of 10 minutes to show you how it strengthens the thyroid. So Dawn will put her 2 fingers on her thyroid point, and you'll see that my hands do not break, which means that the selenium in the Brazil nuts can get absorbed by her thyroid. And now we go down to the stomach point, and you'll see the same thing holds true. Her stomach point is very strong with the soaked Brazil nuts. So her body can absorb the nutrients from the Brazil nuts more efficiently. I'd like to show Michael here to show you how we get consistent results. So Michael's holding 2 unsoaked apricots against his thyroid point, and look what happens to my 2 fingers, they break. So the nutrients in the apricots are not being absorbed by his thyroid because the apricots have not been soaked. Now Michael, if you can put the 2 fingers on your stomach point, and now you'll see that my fingers break yet again. So that is why it's important for us to soak our dried fruit and our nuts so that we can absorb the vitamins and minerals from our food much better. Now we'll do a demo with 2 soaked apricots, and Michael's going to go straight to his thyroid point, and we're going to see how very strong his thyroid is because the apricots have been soaked. Now we'll go down to Michael's stomach point, and we'll see that his stomach is also turned on and very strong. So we know that he will absorb the nutrients better from the apricots that have been soaked. Very good. 2 soaked Brazil nuts against his thyroid, and you can see how strong my fingers are, which means that he's absorbing the selenium on his thyroid. And now Michael's going to put his 2 fingers on his gut or stomach point, and you'll see that my 2 fingers are holding very strongly too, which means that he can now absorb the selenium from the Brazil nuts very well since they have been soaked. And you can see that just even 10 minutes of soaking can make such a difference to the absorption of nutrients from dried fruit and nuts. I'd like to show a 3rd demo here with Carmen. She's holding 2 apricots that are not soaked against her thyroid, and see what happens to my 2 fingers. They break, which means her thyroid is not absorbing the nutrients from the apricots. Now Carmen is going to do the same thing going down to her stomach point, and you'll see that both, again, are not being absorbed as well. And now we'll do the same demo with the 2 Brazil nuts. Great, so we're going to put the 2 Brazil nuts on the thyroid, and you can see that my fingers break because they have not been soaked. And Carmen, if you go to your stomach point, and the same thing occurs too. So you can see consistently across the board, doesn't matter who I test, I get the same results. And now Carmen's going to do 2 soaked Brazil nuts against her thyroid point. Okay, perfect. And you'll see how strong her thyroid is with the 2 soaked Brazil nuts. So the selenium would be absorbed by the thyroid gland. And now Carmen going down to her digestive system, to her stomach point. Her body can absorb the selenium very nicely as well. And we'll do the same thing with the 2 soaked apricots. Because apricots are very good for adrenal support, so I usually recommend 3 to 4 of them a day soaked. So you can see how very strong Carmen's thyroid is with the 2 soaked apricots. And now to her stomach point, and you'll see that her stomach point is also very strong too. Enjoy this fun demo with 3 people showing how Brazil nuts and apricots, when they're not soaked, that they actually stress the organs like your thyroid, like your stomach point. But when you soak them for even just a minimum of 10 minutes, it can really make a big difference into the nutrient absorption from dried fruit and nuts.